Hello, everyone. Happy to be back over here today with another guest of ours. I'm very happy to welcome Graham Gordon with us today. He is strategy and product marketing chief at Sapiens. And we really would like to talk about some impressions of how the market is evolving, about his views of what the market is up to, of what are the current activities we can see, the challenges we can face. Graham, just to jump into that very general topic, what do you think about the basic challenges a huge insurance carrier might face today in the European market?
Okay, it's a very, very different environment coming up than perhaps what we've been used to over, let's say, 200 years. Sapiens, we've got 600 insurance customers, so a lot of what I say is what I hear from them. We go around and talk to them on a frequent basis about what their impressions are and what our impressions are, and hopefully that meets in the middle somewhere. Consistently what I'm hearing is, everyone's expecting the insurance marketplace to be one of the hardest environments to operate in over the coming decade, or if not a little bit shorter. And there's a number of factors in play on this one. So the first one is car manufacturers. I call this the battle for the consumer, or the coming battle for the consumer. So car manufacturers now are for the first time buying policy administration systems, and they're buying insurance software. And you kind of go, why are you buying insurance software? Well, it's not to make their production more effective. It's because they see the opportunity coming now with their subscription mobility strategies and that kind of, let's get the customer insurance, because insurance is going to become a common or more significant percentage of the cost of the car. If you think about, we're going to take the engine out, we're going to put a battery in, finance insurance and a little bit of maintenance, because there's no maintenance anymore. So it's going to become front of mind on the consumer. Car manufacturers see this, they go, right, we now are going to employ insurance professionals, and we're now going to buy insurance software, and you'll see a lot more kind of direct insurance plays from the car manufacturers themselves. We already know from normal P&C insurance that the motor is such a trigger point for additional products and services. So that starts to drift away. Real challenge for the insurance companies coming up there. Then the second thing that's happened, particularly over the past 3-4 years, is just the astonishing growth of digital banks. Banks that have come out of nowhere. They've got a banking license, so guess what? They can get an insurance license. But where it's fascinating is just the consumer, the layers of data that they have access to. We spend a lot of time running around trying to find the best proxies for risk. Well, this is a whole new layer of insights that's coming in based on the open banking standards and what you can actually identify in a consumer's bank account. And if the consumer consents to it, I would. Hey, use my data and give me an insurance price. The reality is going to be that the segmentation is going to be greater, and the banks will start to see this as not just white label someone else's insurance products or some sort of link to a website. They'll start going deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's going to be fascinating as well to see how that plays out.
So definitely the business models of the insurance carriers itself has to transform, has to change a little bit, or has to change quite a lot depending on the market you're operating in. What I like about technology providers is that they have a different view on the market. They are that kind of the upside of what is able and what is possible in order to make those model changes. I always say that insurance carriers itself basically rely on two main assets, which is on the one hand covering the customer interface, providing through a trusted brand loyalty and possibility of engaging customers itself, and on the other hand they have the regulations in place, which most of the new projects or new technology providers don't bring up. So it kind of makes sense that those solution providers such as Sapien bring that kind of agile kind of working and thinking mindset into the larger organizations. So I guess my question is, can you provide us with some insights on how difficult it is really to make that match? How really difficult it is to fill in that gap and position yourselves at the agile, proactive partner, which in a way can try to or drag or push the client, so the partner, towards new areas.
Okay, and this has got two sides to it as well. Obviously, we've got the regulation side. I think I'm the only person on the planet that likes regulation because it gives me a framework to work against, and it's really good in its clarity. And I love what the EU's led the world on some of this stuff with the GDPR, and it's pervasive, and we're going to see it more and more of it. And I don't mind it because we always know the framework, and I think that's coming to more and more importance when we start looking at some of the AI models that we're bringing in, how to explain them, what they're doing to make sure they're not discriminating. So that's that side of it. The second side of it from the technology side is, I describe this as the changing role of the CTO or the Chief Information Officer. And this is something I've noticed really in the past 2 or 3 years in my career, is you have all this InsurTech world out there, and what technology providers and the CTO organization is very, very used to doing is we walk to the business, we take a list of requirements that's about 14 pages long, and then we go back and we build it, we release it every 6 weeks or whatever the kind of cadence is going to be. And then we go back to the business, they go, oh, can we have this, blah, 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 blah. That's the way everything's been developed now for probably as long as anyone's been developing things. And what we're seeing now with the technology story is, look, the CTO now has to educate the business about what's going on and has to educate the business about what is actually possible. And you're getting this real distinction now between the technology or the solutions we're working on at the moment. We're not just building stuff better, it's becoming a lot more transformational. And that's driven by the technology, and it's driven by the CTO of the organization, or the people in charge of the product of the organization are right at the front of the business now. And it's probably no secret that 2 or 3 of the world's biggest technology companies, Google, Amazon, blah, blah, they're led by the product people now, they're not led by the finance people. And I think that's a fascinating change, and we're seeing that now in insurance as well. So a lot more kind of going to the business, working more in partnership with them, not just building a better version of what went on before, but actually saying, hey, we can make transformational steps now. We can do straight through processing. We can do omni-channel, true omni-channel communication with the customers. We can be wherever they want to be if you talk about embedded insurance. And the business goes, okay, that's cool. You're a partner of mine now. And the technology company, we're going right the way to the apex of the organizations now, because they want to understand what's possible. They want to understand where the hype is and where the reality is, and what the actual capacities of the technology we provide are. Keep on saying technology, we're a solution provider as well, obviously, because we do the end-to-end, but that's where we're getting our insights, because we don't just hand the software over and move on and get on with our lives. It's very, very much, you're involved with the implementation and the service and the maintenance and the future development as well.
There you guys have an headline, Graham likes regulation. Let me finish with a question regarding transaction costs. Historically speaking, transaction costs within the organization was always lower than outside of it, between partners, between organization, between your organization and clients, between your organization and providers. Managed services running in a public cloud that you can access and that you can use just as a puzzle piece in your system landscape really puts that concept upside down. It provides you with the capability of really relying on services from outside of the organization that in the end is you get it at a lower price with a service level which is predefined, so running very smoothly for you. You don't have the overhead of maintaining your own software, your own system landscape. So that specific concept puts the antique business model upside down and gives you and provides you with a huge amount of opportunities of how to interact with service providers or with technology providers. You were talking about the role of a CTO changing. What really needs to change in terms of mindset? What really needs to change in terms of how to operate within those large carriers, the IT organization, in order to really come to a point where to fully use those kind of managed services concepts and provide yourself with the opportunity of being flexible in the market?
So, out of that 600 customers I told you at the start, there's probably half of them are using our managed services. So there's still this debate. And the way I try and describe this is use cyber attacks as kind of like, way of understanding it. Right, who's going to spend more on cyber security? Is it going to be the cloud providers, Amazon? Is it going to be the cloud provider, Microsoft? Or is it going to be your organization? And you kind of go, well, we see the threat levels going like this, we see the frequency, the volume, and you kind of go, where you're going to get the most support, because you're not really going to do this yourself anymore, are you? The way it's going, and that's a really good way of explaining to the benefits of the cloud is, hey, the toolkits that they have, the technology stack that they have, these are force multipliers to an organization. So you can run enterprise grade software with far fewer people, and that's a really, really important story. Is you're saying to them, there's the technology benefit, there's the evergreen product benefit, there's the multi-tenant benefit in terms of software, so we're able to deploy things that benefit all of our customer base at once, rather than these long, drawn-out, expensive upgrade paths of the historic future, I hope. And then lastly, and this is a really weird one, for a CTO making these kind of, I'm going to go to the cloud, public cloud decisions, can't do it in every country, that's the last technology decision they're ever going to make. If you think about it, you've gone through these kind of like cycles every decade, some new technology comes, blah, 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 and you go, right, I'm putting my business on the public cloud, and that's going to be the last technical decision I probably ever have to make in my career. And it's kind of interesting when you think about it like that, because that's just, the benefits outweigh any sort of the negativity you feel about it. The ability for us to go in and take data enrichment from third-party services, the whole thing just works and the whole thing's secure. And I can't see the downside. Maybe regulation.
I wanted to say that maybe regulation would limit you on your path of doing it in a very extensive way, but definitely I do think that it's a great way to scale your business and try to be agile in terms of your model. Graham, thank you very much for your insights and for your time. I appreciate it.